What it is, what it do, cyber world, it is your girl, the one and only Ash Said It, ashsaidit.com, ashsaidit.com. Welcome back to the Ash Said It Daily Podcast Show. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. We've got nearly 500,000 streams worldwide. We're a little short of 500,000 streams worldwide. Wow, I never imagined that that would ever be something that would happen to a show that I would start really just started just to do it. So I appreciate you guys and thank you for helping me become my best self. And today our guest is author and speaker, Mr. Jeff Emmerson. Jeff?
Yes, welcome, and thank you for having me, Ash, and hello, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, Jeff. Let our audience know, where are you from? Where do you represent?
Well, I'm from, geographically anyway, I'm from not far from Toronto, Canada.
Okay.
So, way up in the north.
Oh, wow.
Depending where everyone is.
Ah.
Yeah.
What kind of weather are you guys having right now?
You know what, it's turning to autumn. So, sunny days, but cooler nights, type of thing, with trees changing color, the leaves changing colors, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're trying to avoid winter as long as we can, put it off.
I'd imagine. You know, I'm not a fan of shoveling snow, so I don't know that life.
Right. Oh yeah, that's its own. Yeah. Not there yet.
Not particular. All right, Jeff. So we're talking about your new book today, Beyond ADHD. So what were the events that led up to your diagnosis?
Well, first off, it's pretty intense in spots. So for any listeners that are either dealing with personally or know anyone that's dealing with any sort of mental health challenges or day-to-day stuff with anxiety, depression, anything else, I want you to know that you're in the right place because, first off, I'm a foot soldier of support for everyone out there. It's just what I've been calling myself lately. Because, and I'll get back to that, but what started all this was in 2011, long story short, I attempted suicide. And 3 years before that, my brother Ryan had successfully committed suicide. So there's a lot there, but for the sake of time here, I had my wife, I came upstairs from my attempt, and I couldn't fully go all the way, but thank God. My wife was upstairs on the third floor working from home, and I said, you know what, and she knew I'd been struggling for a while, but obviously we both didn't know this would happen, and I would suddenly attempt suicide because I'm one of the most driven people you meet. Yeah. But again, there's a long story to this, which is in the book, pretty well explained. But anyway, I said to my wife, her name's Amy. I said, Amy, and I was crying, I had tears and everything, and I said, you got to rush me to the hospital, something like that anyway. Mm-hmm. So we got in the car, we rushed to the emergency room, and as you can imagine, for any men out there, especially the pride, as a husband, we had just gotten married. I felt horrible to say the least. I felt a ton of shame, scared. Like, what am I going to say? I was thinking, when I get to the triage area, the emergency area, what am I going to say to the nurses? What if they're women? I had all this pride and stuff that suddenly kicked in. But anyway, we got there, and sure enough, it was a female nurse. And normally I wouldn't care, right? I thought, it doesn't matter who it is. But suddenly I had this whole pride thing that came up. And I found it hard to say, hey, the nurse is looking at me like, to intake, to write in who I am and what my emergency is. And I'm saying, hey, I need help. I'm thinking of killing myself. So obviously that's really heavy stuff, but I just poured it out. I thought, well, you know what, if I don't speak up, I'm only selling myself short. Yeah. And this could go way worse. So from that, I wasn't actually held in the hospital. I was just after talking and meeting with a psychiatrist and a mental health nurse, I think something like a psychiatric social work type of nurse expert person. Mm-hmm. That's the best way I can call it. They figured that as severe as it sounds, they basically said, okay, get yourself over to a different building. So with your wife's, like they were making sure, obviously, my wife was keeping an eye on me very close. Mm-hmm. So we went to this other building, which was an outpatient center that's under the same hospital, just a different building. And over the next 2 weeks, my wife, again, kept an extremely close eye on me. And I met with a team. There was I believe, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, I'm trying to think of who else, a mental health nurse, definitely 3 people anyway. And over that course of about 2 weeks, I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 35. So yeah, that's when that transpired. The official diagnosis was given. Do you want me to expand on that? Or
yeah, no, definitely expand. I mean, like what, you're diagnosed, then what was the next step?
Okay. And again, we explain this in the book too, for, obviously, again, time is a little bit tight, but, and I want to be respectful to you, Ash, but in the book, I explained there was a whole journey that went on with that team,
right,
and then beyond it. So what happened was, it was an eye-opener to say the least, and now all the memories of it are coming back in my mind. What happened was, long story short, the psychiatrist wasn't 100% sure at all, but I had things ruled out like bipolar disorder, different types of bipolar, different bipolar 1 and 2, and something called cyclothymia, hypomania, all that stuff, and that was all ruled out. Obviously, anxiety and depression were present, but racing thoughts and stuff. But anyway, what happened was, and as I look back, it's sort of arbitrary. I guess would be the word, not to use a big word, at least for me. I don't usually use that word. So I keep things very simple and easy to understand, straight up. But the psychiatrist said, we think it might be ADHD. So it was something like that, anyway. And what happened, and it might sound bad, but I have been researching solutions for ADHD or tools to help, right? So therapy was something I was huge into. I found that personally, I'm not a big medication person. I like to dig deeper first and try to get help. And if meds are needed, then awesome. Like do whatever it takes to thrive, right? And there's no shame, as I say all the time. Anyone who says, anyone should be ashamed for taking medications, that's ridiculous. Whatever it takes to thrive, like you said, and be your best self earlier, you said. I love that. You gotta, again, that just screams within me.
Yeah,
very passionate about that. Yeah, so, but that said, I was doing research and I did see that, like, something like, and I think it's in the U.S. anyway, I think over 90% of people, at least kids diagnosed with ADHD, only are given medication. And it does change lives. In some cases, absolutely. I take a very balanced view on that in the book as well. So what happened was I actually suggested to the psychiatrist, I said, hey, there's a particular medication I looked up. It seems like a cleaner, newer version, because I've been researching the effects on the liver and other stuff.
Yeah.
Like is a more modern medication maybe a little bit safer for my body than like side effect wise than others, all that stuff. So anyway, I suggested this medication, and normally it'd be the psychiatrist to tell me, right? But it's just how it went. And we tried the medication for about 2 months on a couple different doses and all that stuff. And then after noticing no change at all, there's no difference for me. And that's where I know it's really, those are murky waters, because sometimes it can be one medication that doesn't work, and then you try a different one, and it's like life-changing. But for me, the way it worked out was from there, I began to question the diagnosis. Though the symptoms, and I still live with a bunch of them, the symptoms are very real. Both, they can be positives and negatives, big time. So, yeah. So that's, I'll stop there for now.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the next step.
Well, that is incredible. That's an incredible story and testimony. And I commend you for being brave enough to get through, because I know, because I've had family members and friends and things deal with mental illness, and it's a struggle. And people think because, oh well, I look at them and they don't look like they have a problem, or they don't look like they've got issues, and it's like you can't tell just by looking at someone what they're going through. Um, so I commend you on that for being brave enough to share your story. And so I want to ask, how did you pull the strength to start speaking? Because that's a completely other beast on top of dealing your with your health, to going out and speaking to people about it.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the compliments there. And yeah, obviously we'll touch on this later, but I've been incredibly humbled through social media with the stories of other people, because I originally started actually in 2013 speaking through social media, not speaking, like public speaking. But and I've built a following now of over 1 million people online. And and it sounds like, ooh, big number, whatever, but it's not about that. Like, I was just on a mission because of, again, my brother's suicide and my own attempt. There's a lot to add here, but I want to try to stay on point, so bear with me. But you know what? Speaking, and having this book out now, this was a whole journey. Again, over the last 4 years, it took 4 years pretty much, if not a little longer, to find a co-author and editor. Because I have a vision issue as well. That's another thing we can get to later, but it's very hard. As much as I love writing and editing, I get exhausted very quick, my brain, that's all explained in the book too, with cutting edge ophthalmology, like vision therapy stuff. But yeah, it's been a journey. So speaking came from, on the heels of, this book has just been out for would have been a couple months. September 1st of 2017 it came out.
Wow.
Beyond ADHD came out. So yeah, and it's, you know what? It's I actually I'm speaking at a fundraiser for the United Way in a few days, and I still feel anxiety. I'm new to the whole public speaking thing, but I spoke for the first time a few months back, and I guess the way I got into it was, again, through building a fairly big following online with people across the world, and the stories I would hear and the supportive messages from people, I think, pushed me into it as much as it was already within me, wanting to inspire. I used to have, a really big statement like, I want to motivate and inspire millions, which sounds really grandiose. I get it. A dreamer, but why not? Why not me? Why not you? Why not anybody, right? If it's from the heart and it's authentic and you've lived it, you've walked the talk, and people want to hear that stuff. People want to be supported and not just hear negative stuff, but see examples of human beings who have overcome some of the most traumatic things, right? To know that they can do it too. It's as simple as that. It's, you know what I mean? Giving back. So through, I hope that answers it. Through building a following and getting this book written and signing a book deal in 2016, being fortunate and blessed enough, thank God. I'm always grateful. I never take it for granted, because I only have to think back 4 years ago, and I was in the psych ward, the mental health unit. Humbled completely. My wife didn't abandon me. She supported us at one point cleaning toilets. I mean, she's my rock, my angel. So, on the real.
Yes. And I tip my hat to her too. That's a strong woman. It's a lot to deal with. I mean, let's not, shortchange anything, So I commend your wife, and just your love and support. And I mean, many people in this life, Jeff, they don't necessarily find that person that truly and honestly loves them through the good and the bad. So the fact that you found your angel, you found, your guardian angel here on earth, that is the biggest blessing of all. Biggest
and you
blessing.
know what? Before her, my longest relationship had been about 7 or 8 months. and we've been together about 9 years.
Aww.
So it's, I guess, you know what, something just came to mind. There's a thought for everyone listening: never give up.
Never give up.
As sometimes corny as that statement sounds, and I get it, I've heard them all. It's true. These cliches are around for a reason. And again, like a lot of people ask me for advice online, people I don't know, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to just give them the usual cookie cutter advice ever, because I don't know that I want to know the person. It's like when I sign a book at a book signing, there's no ego. It's like, what may I sign for you? You know, it's not just best wishes. I want to put something, I like to listen to the person's story, and any little thing I pick up, and then I can write a positive, empowering message, even if they're in the midst of hell. Because again, I was just there, and you know, anytime I find I get cocky about it or get an ego, I just go visit my brother's grave, or go drive by the hospital. You know, so it's always staying hungry and remembering. But yeah, and exactly, not everyone has access to the support I did.
Yeah.
So I figure, well, if I'll finish with this, finding this purpose, speaking out. If I wasn't doing this, as I tell my wife, I'd be in trouble. I may not be here today, not to sound dramatic, but it's just reality. Hundreds of jobs. I dropped out of university at 33. Criminal record when I was young. A few mistakes that I made, and needed a lot of therapy to work through, to plus terrible credit to, I don't have a degree. I have grade 12, but I found another way with support. I've made a way. So yeah, you ask why I'm speaking, and how did I find the courage? I just summoned the courage to do it. Well, I'm all in now. My story is online. You know what I mean? Like, everything is online. The embarrassing stuff, so to speak, the everything, pretty much. Well, not everything, but 98%. And I decided to go all in. And, it's almost like timing. I was lucky with timing because mental health is exploding right now.
Yeah.
And I wish I wasn't on one hand, right?
Yeah.
I'm thriving, building, and all that stuff. That's great. But I wish, I was saying this to my wife the other day, I wish humanity was doing better so I wouldn't have to do this, or I wouldn't have gone through this.
Right.
On the flip side, so I hope that answers it.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for including us in a part of your journey beyond ADHD. Where can people purchase the book, Jeff?
I know it's online. I know that Barnes & Noble in the U.S., you can always, if they don't have it on the shelves, and they may not, you can ask them. It's in their system, so you can ask them to order it. There's also an audiobook version. We've got it in an audiobook, digital copy, hardcover, and it's definitely on Amazon as well. So, yeah, and any specialty, any other type of bookstore, you can always ask them to order it. So yeah, check it out, and let me know, anyone out there listening, I love hearing from people what they think of the book, their thoughts, their own stories. I'm always reachable. So feel free, if people, check the book out and do a search for my name and that kind of thing. Feel free to send me an email or a tweet. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I love hearing from people and connecting and letting people know they're not alone, even if they're going again through the worst moments where they can't see their way out. I just, it's there's something within me that wants to fiercely that loves connecting with people and meeting them with where they're at, right? And showing them, hey, I've done this, I've lived it. I'm not just a psychiatrist writing a book. It's, this is heavy. This is something else. So just know you're not alone in this stuff.
Absolutely. Jeff Emmerson, author, speaker extraordinaire. Thank you so much, Jeff, for sharing your story with us and letting us know how we can pick up that book. And if you guys are out there and, you heard Jeff's story and maybe you're struggling with something, this book may be what you need to read. You may need to check this out, all right? And get that help that is much needed for yourself or for your loved ones or whoever may be affected right now. So keep in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do You look them square in the face and tell them, don't believe me, just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. Because that's what we're doing this for. We're doing this for the history books. Social media is nice, it's cool, it's fun, but real life is so much better. Until next time, you guys.